Here's what's going to happen. We're going to go back inside. We're all going to have a cup of tea.
We are talking about the movie The Droving. This one is directed and co-written by George Popov, the man behind the movie Hex, which was an English Civil War horror movie. And this one stars Daniel Oldroyd as Martin. Now this is a kind of, I guess you want to call it a folk horror movie. I guess you could put it in the same breath as things like The Wicker Man to a certain degree. So what we have here, Martin is an ex-military man who has come back to this rural English village where his sister has gone missing, and he's sort of doing his own investigation, interviewing people, trying to find out what's happened. And in this particular village, they have kind of these old weird customs, kind of paganish style odd customs. And these things do happen in kind of rural England. And this particular village has this kind of festival where people dress up in kind of like animal masks and things like this, and you know, do kind of stuff, shall we say, and maybe someone has got a little bit carried away, or maybe there's kind of a deeper, darker, maybe even supernatural force here behind what is going on. So essentially this is almost a procedural to a certain degree. It's Martin using his wits to try and manipulate, intimidate, and find out maybe what has happened to his sister. And this kind of leads him to an ever-decreasing dark path. So what will happen? You have to watch the movie to find out. Now this is doing a lower budget movie right. There's no flashy special effects here. This is just based on a good story. And this has one major plus in its column here, and that is the performance by Daniel Oldroyd, who I thought was outstanding as Martin. And I'll tell you why. Because the movie has this character using a variety of different techniques. As I've mentioned, some people he'll kind of try and be friendly with, or try and extract information through kind of manipulation. Other people he'll be more kind of like, you know, straight up with and trying to intimidate stuff like that, lull people into a false sense of security. So I gotta say, I thought the performance here was really good because you have all these different kind of sides. And when he's coming across as trying to be sort of friendly, and you'll see him kind of flip on a dime, you know he's going to, when he's trying to play someone, for example. I mean, this is kind of like the thing that you would see in a great spy movie. Let me put it like this. People like going from one character to a next to try and kind of manipulate something. So this is almost like the work of like a kind of a spy in a certain degree, and that performance is so good and so convincing when he's trying to be, you know, friendly or manipulative. You buy into that character. I think he does it so well. So a huge kind of like plus point is the performance of our kind of central character here. But I've got to say, the rest of the cast is pretty good, with the exception of maybe one person. We have this woman, Tess, for example, who is really the first person he kind of talks to. I thought it was such a natural performance. It's really, really good. So I think the acting, for the most part, with one exception, is all excellent. The second thing here is the kind of the deepening mythology of about what is potentially kind of going on here. Now, the movie never really explicitly tells you exactly what the kind of the situation is, but it's hinted at that there are these legends that may or may not be true. It's up to the viewer to maybe decide whether these things are real or not. And the movie, despite not having really any special effects to speak of, still has an eerie sense of dread, and you get the feeling that there are these kind of like these locals that are really in the belief of these things and taking it to the kind of the next level. And it gives you this this kind of urgent sense of danger, which is just lurking beneath the surface of this kind of seemingly innocuous festival. There are some fantastic cinematography. This is very true of the movie Hex as well. There's scenes towards the end that seem to be in this kind of cave system. Wow. I mean, it looks really incredible to look at, I've got to say. simply fantastic stuff. And the story is a slow burn, but nonetheless, I've got to say, I think it does a great job of still maintaining your interest to a high level, you know, going from scene to scene, because you simply are not quite sure where the story is going to go and what's going to happen. What doesn't work, there is one actor for me that I felt his performance was a little weaker. I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to kind of like point someone out. But there's maybe one actor who I felt was a little bit on the kind of the weaker side. I feel maybe this story may be a little bit too slow for some people, and you may be expecting some supernatural payoff. And although there is something that does happen at the end, I gotta say I feel maybe the costuming department could have done something a little better there, is all I'm gonna say. It was a little bit underwhelming, and I felt it could have played into... I mean, it does appear supernatural to a degree, but I gotta say, I would have lent more into it if it was me who was the filmmaker there. So I felt like it was trying to be a little bit sort of like, you make your own decision, and the way this scene plays out, I have to say, is I don't know, it's a little bit too contemporary. Is the best way I would describe it. So there you go. I also think that it's maybe a little bit too long on the flashback sequences from time to time. But overall, I think this is a great movie. This is a good example of how to do a movie. I mean, I guess you would class it as a horror, but there's no real horror elements in it, so to speak. But it just has this dark undertone, which therefore I would kind of class it in the horror genre to a degree, but it's more a mood piece than anything else. And it has that in spades. I'm going to give this one a 7 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me a comment and I'll look forward to you next time. Bye for now.